My name is Rion Naus. I'm a Stewardship Ambassador. I'm a certified public health educator. I'm a dad, and I own and operate We Grow With LLC. I want to debrief another great trip. So this trip in particular puzzle pieced a lot of the work over the last several years, really connecting beautiful people, but also the next step in the growth of what we're doing. So the Minders family, Chad was in Las Vegas for the Packers convention. Now, I honestly had no idea what that was, so I decided to sign up so I could go too. It's not about football. It's about the tools and industry connected to packaging and processing different items, like at a huge scale. It was a really great event. So I'm there with Chad, and we're exploring options for the proven protein packaging so that we can make this packaging part of the ethos of what we're doing as well. And so, of course, we're not wanting something in plastic. We're trying to find something that has the appropriate shelf life and is still biodegradable. So, to get to where I needed to be, I had to pass through a ridiculous amphitheater filled with every gambling that was live at that moment, and it looked like a bunch of workstations for people to see if they could find their success. Outside of the Packers convention, I was distracted by these amazing robots and the automation that these students are able to produce. My son is also part of a robotics program, being able to then turn these automatons, into, something that can actually do these repetitive motion tasks over and over again. Those tasks are actually really hard on people, and so anytime we can shift industry to something that makes it easier on people, it's not just doing the job, but the right jobs to be done. So, into one of many of these convention halls and able to just see into the distance, like it just kept going and going, and row upon row of some of the coolest tools it's been a while since I've seen. I also realized while at this conference that we have tools from different industries. I'll often go to different programs and see how a tool that someone else uses could actually be employed with other people. The farmers, actually, they'll all recognize this. This is what is considered an IBC tote. It's approximately 275 gallons. And so being able to interact with the producers and be able to see opportunities for packaging, and especially with the biome bin, it's a great opportunity to do stuff from the beginning with intention. Plus, I like the logo. Here we are discussing different packaging material. You can see Chad there on the right. It's really cool to interact with people who are in their own fields, because they get just excited about plastic and wraps and other things as I do about what's growing. Now, after the conference, we actually drove out to Pahrump, Nevada, and I'm grateful to have been there to introduce Chad to Steve and Brad. Steve Cantwell, owner-operator of Green Life Productions, they're out of Pahrump, Nevada, has a beautiful 2-acre farm where he feeds his community nutrient-dense and living soil-grown foods. It's a wonderful place. But because of the connection and some of my work as a stewardship ambassador, Chad's able to then have an opportunity for retail. True regenerative practices have to take into account a regenerative economy. And so Chad, doing the beautiful work that Proven Proteins has done, is then able to find a location that people come to purchase and then have a market for. These are some of the greenhouses there at Green Life Productions where honestly, Chad, and we'll put this together in a larger presentation, was just blown away by the food being grown in the desert. And because of the tricks developed through Steve's beautiful work in the cannabis industry, we were able to then see things that allowed for photomodulation and living soil systems. There's no chemicals being used here. You can pluck these right off the vine. These vines then are zigzagged back and forth across each other, allowing for production throughout the winter. This farm is at over 4,000 feet elevation and receives extreme temperature swings in the high desert. Some of the other production there in one of the greenhouses. Entering in, you can actually see how these plants are then trellised up, and the succession even in the greenhouse itself, allowing for plant rotation. Some simplified systems to allow for user friendliness and irrigation. Tomato vines there on the right, or the left and right when you go back and forth through it, for sure. We also were able to identify some of the pest species that they're dealing with, and so able to address different ways to deal with those. Ways that actually allow them to do their job while cycling that nutrition back for the rest of the soil food web. Chad was actually able to talk to Steve and Brad about cover crops and about why he utilizes them with his cattle. And a really interesting part of this cover crops that were grown there is that we were talking about different ways of dealing with the growth, dealing with the actual cover crop and what it needed. And we came up with different mowing techniques, different equipment. They even have robots. All these things were discussed. And at the end of it, Chad goes, one cow would take care of that in a day. And so even out here in the desert, the next thought was, where do we find a cow? So it really is this wonderful understanding about when you're working with nature. And here's Brad showing off one of the giant pumpkins that was growing. And another one that had decided it wanted a view and grew up inside of a tree. This is all being done in a living soil, healthy, regenerative way. And that is just another reason why these systems are so productive. You can see the flow along the outer hoop houses and right into the processing area. It's straight shot, super easy. They have actually SOPs that if people are wanting to develop a system that works so efficiently, they're happy to share this information. But just feel free to reach out to me and I'll get you guys in contact. As going through the system, we go into refrigeration and storage. And then here, right next to the cash register at checkout, we have the proven protein meat sticks right by the register. So when we're dealing with regenerative systems, it really is about finding the opportunity for us to bridge that gap. And so when Steve called and says, I'm in need of some regenerative beef, I had just the person. And this person has nutrient-dense beef that's been studied and is exceptional and has some health benefits to it that, are hard for some people to believe. But then that beef now can nurture the rest of the system. Chad needed some place to sell his beef. And so this connection here is why there's livelihood on both accounts. And that's part of that good, very good. Going out into the other areas, the retail area, you can actually see as we go around different products locally grown. If it's not locally grown, it should at least be the best possible. And that's where a client from Indiana gets to hang out with another one and friends from Nevada. So it was a great trip. Here at the very end of the trip, I'm driving home and I'm seeing an absolute need for wiggle waddles along road cuts driving through the desert, where we, just like Steve, can turn that system green.
My name is Rion Naus. I'm a Stewardship Ambassador. I'm a certified public health educator, I'm a dad, and I own and operate We Grow With LLC. We Grow With helps people to differentiate between fertilizer and fertility. We use products and services. We equip people with the observation tools they need, as well as the products that make their jobs easier, allowing them to turn dead dirt into living land at any scale.